Yes, it is.
I have it down here for you.
I think she gave it to me. Yeah, I gotta stay here tonight.
Give you a copy. Got it stuck on.
Good night. Yeah. Hello, Greg.
Hi, Mayor.
No.
I feel for me.
They usually put me as a skip voter anyway. I prefer that. Brandon.
And it's
Yeah. All right, it's 6 o'clock.
How many people are you?
just interaction.
2 a.m.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock, and we're going to bring the January 8th, 2024 City Council meeting to order, and we will begin with roll call. Please, Jenny.
Sarchet,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Walters,
Yes.
Vogel, Otis.
I'll ask for a motion and a second to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Roll call.
Savage,
Yes.
Walters,
Yes.
Vogel,
Yes.
Otis,
Yes.
Sarchet.
Yes.
Moving on to item 4, we're going to swear in 2 new council members tonight, Nick Otis and Jeff Savage. We're going to come down front and do this right here. We can do it one at a time, or you can both come down and we'll still do it one at a time. I think we can. Right here. What is it? It's right hand, Jenny, or left?
Left, raise your right hand.
Got it?
Yes.
Left, raise your.
Other way.
Huh?
No, you're right, left. Sorry.
Raise your right hand.
Trying to confuse you.
So we're going to
Yes,
say, I, your name,
I, Jeff Savage,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
that I will,
I will,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and I will faithfully
and I will faithfully
and impartially,
and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all of the duties
discharge all of the duties
of the office of City Council
of the office of City Council
for the City of Polk City, Iowa,
for the City of Polk City, Iowa,
as now
as now
or hereafter required by law.
or hereafter required by law.
Very good, you're in. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Mr. Mayor.
Wait a minute, did you get a picture? Just easier. And you know how this works? There you go. So, I state your name,
I, Nick Otis,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States.
of the United States
Got it, you're getting ahead of me. And the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and I will faithfully
and I will faithfully
and impartially,
and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all of the duties
discharge all of the duties of
of the office of City Council
the office of City Council,
for the City of Polk City, Iowa,
the City of Polk City, Iowa,
as now or hereafter
as now or hereafter
required by law.
required by law.
Very good. Welcome.
Thank you.
Moving on then to item 5, a presentation from Greg Edwards, Catch Des Moines Annual Update. Greg, come on up, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. Welcome, new council members. Please don't be too hard on me. First meeting, I know. Thanks for having me. It's our annual meeting, our annual report. The city, we very much appreciate your partnership and being a part of the Regional Convention Visitors Bureau. And thank you all for showing up tonight during this nasty weather. I know you just came to hear my presentation. Right. I'll try to be quick because I know you guys want to probably get home too as well. Are we up?
Are you? We are not. But I don't know why.
No, I either. Are we on?
It is plugged in and it is on. Do you still have your adapter? Let's try that. Yep.
So most of you are familiar with our objective and our mission is to enhance more visitors into the metro area, whether it be sports, conventions, meetings, leisure travelers, bus tours, et cetera, et cetera. I'd also like to introduce Laura Jass at the back of the room there, who's weathered the storm with me tonight. She said, I'm going to come tonight. She lives kind of on this side. She lives in a suburb of Ankeny. Laura's our director of sports, responsible for bringing in a lot of the successful events we've had this past year and yet to come, including NCAA, archery, swimming, wrestling, rugby, you name it, she touches it. So thanks, Laura, for being here. Our chair, our board is as follows, and the mayor has represented you very well. I don't believe he's ever missed a meeting in his entire tenure with us. Our chair this year is Brian Mulcahy, who's the assistant director of Des Moines Airport. Greg Hudson, who's the city council of West Des Moines, is our vice chair. Chris Conley, who's the general manager of the Iowa Event Center, is our treasurer secretary. Steve Peters is our at-large member from the Hotel Fort Des Moines, and Muir County was part of our executive board. Will now be replaced by Mayor Rosen if she wishes to do that. So you can see the rest of our board: 7 hospitality members, 6 general business, and 14 local elected officials from communities we represent. People travel here. They spend money, obviously, shopping on hotels, restaurants, entertainment, arts and culture, etc. Hopefully, they spend the night in a hotel. When they check out, they pay an additional 7% hotel motel tax, which then the hotel writes the check back to the state of Iowa. The state writes it back to the cities or municipalities, who then distribute that. We receive 2/7 of that tax, about 28%. Bravo receives 28%. The rest is with the city. We did an economic impact and an ROI study where for every $1 we receive tax money, we return over $25 back into the community. Pretty good investment. This past year in review, we had 371 events, conventions, events, sports, etc., utilized our services. 250 of those were booked because of our direct efforts. We took from the sales process all the way through booking and bringing it into town. 261 new conventions and sporting events were booked for future years. Some marketing highlights. Our board approves goals every year for our booking goals on the sales end, and then for marketing goals with impressions and web hits and all that good kind of stuff. We surpassed all of our marketing expectations this year. Really had a new record on our web, catchdesmoines.com website of over 1.6 million unique visitors to that site. $2.8 billion total impact according to the state for Dallas and Polk counties because of tourism expenditures. We represent about a quarter of what the state total is. A year in review. This is our last fiscal year, which ends just like your city does on June 30. Had a lot of good groups. So we had a really good year, almost as good as ever, except for a couple of things are still holding us back. Business travel is still sagging. It's still coming back slowly. And I think the economy, quite honestly, has hurt us too. I think we're very concerned about leisure travel and things like that. And I think that's also had an effect on some of our major impacts here. But we were able to bring in a lot of major events. The NCAA, of course, men's basketball was here in March. State tournaments continue to be here. We hosted the National Veterans Golden Age Games last summer. World Pork Expo. We had an Ironman event. We had a thing called Ragbri. You guys familiar with that? You guys did an awesome job, by the way, with Ragbri. I wish we probably would have used your expertise because we had an awesome event, but we lost a lot of record. But it was so hot, as you guys well know. I think by the time they got to Des Moines, they were just had a cold glass of water or a bottle of water. Didn't drink the beer and stuff that we had expected to. Also hosted a lot of different sporting events. As I mentioned, Laura was here from U.S. Rugby regional competition to the Speedo Summer Sectionals, which I don't think the mayor participated in that this year, did you? Anyway, and of course the Hy-Vee Indy race, which we had nothing to do with other than support it as a sponsor, had a great effect on it as well. Our budget breakdown is, we're proud of this because only 15% of our total budget is $7.6 million is spent on the administration side of things. The rest is really spent where we're supposed to be spending our money in sales efforts, market efforts, and our sales efforts as well. Target market strategy, and we get a lot of data from different sources that we subscribe to, but we know we're hitting the right markets. Obviously, the state of Iowa is our number one leisure market, followed by Omaha, Kansas City, Minneapolis, and Milwaukee and Chicago areas as well. Leisure interests include arts, culture, breweries, events, festivals, family attractions. A lot of foodies like to come to the metro area for our great food options, shopping and sports. Total ad budget last year was $1.6 million. So we had a lot of good exposure. Great events on the books for this year as well. We just hosted earlier in August the AAU Junior Olympic Games, which brought in 15,000 athletes across the country, plus their parents and families, probably 20-some thousand total people in the metro area. National Association of County Ag Agents will be in. Savannah Bananas are going to be back for 2 shows this year. We do have an impact on that because we help kind of coordinate that first time around. We're assisting this time. One of Laura's big events that she's really proud of is the Major League Quad Ball. You're all familiar with that? That's it. It used to be called Quidditch. If you have little kids and they watch Harry Potter, that's what it is. But probably 300-400 people. So a lot of other good stuff. Next Monday is a small event throughout the state called the Iowa Caucuses. We're heavily involved in that. In fact, I've done a bunch of interviews this week, New York Times, and a bunch of other national pubs. Obviously, a great event for Iowa, the whole state, and hopefully we can hang on to being the first in the nation with that. But you can see the rest of the stuff that will be in. Another really big one this year is the National Speech and Debate. We will be holding the national championships in the metro. Again, that's going to bring in about 12,000 kids, speech and debate kids. It'll be a week-long deal in June. Huge economic impact to the entire community. Bottom line is we brought in over $164 million just from what our team did, contributed to the total impact. Happy to answer any questions or take comments.
Thank you very
All
much.
is good. You want me to get back out of here? Well, thank you.
Thank you for all you and your team do.
Appreciate you guys.
So we'll move on then to item 6, which is public comments. This is the time and place for comments for any item other than those that are a public hearing. Jenny, I understand we have had a couple of people who filled out cards for tonight.
Yes, sir. Ben Johnson and Cindy Johnson.
All right, so we'll just ask Ben to come forward to the podium and state your name and your address for us, and then give us your comments.
So I didn't know my folks also wanted to speak, so I'm going to go ahead and fill my time.
Oh, okay. So Cindy.
So this will be Cindy. So same deal, Cindy, the podium, please, name and address for the record.
Cindy Johnson. I own property at 800 South 3rd Street. I appreciate your time tonight. I'm just here to express my strong opposition to the development of the property at 510 South. I understand you're just talking about it, but I just want to share my 2 cents. It's a green space that could be best used by the city for parks and recreation at some point down the road. One day, we will have the capacity to make it a beautiful, welcoming gateway to our downtown area that we can all be proud of. My concern is that once we give up a space like that, we can't get it back. I'm not opposed to development, but I do not believe that commercial or residential really is the best use of that land. A decision to sell would be detrimental to the area. Most residents I've talked to are opposed. I'm sure you're not surprised. They brought up concern for traffic and safety, plus it could potentially lower the surrounding residential property values. Being an established neighborhood, many of the folks have faithfully supported the growth of this town through their taxes, and I just thought they deserved to have their voice heard and have their 2 cents in how the space is utilized. So I guess I just want to urge each one of you, as you make this major decision, to carefully consider the lasting impacts of giving up city-owned green space along the main entrance to our downtown. In addition, please consider the concerns of the people who make their homes in this neighborhood. I guess what I'm trying to say overall is that the short-term reward of getting whatever we get out of that property may be something that we regret down the road. I think some of the challenges we have today are because of decisions that were made years ago. Not criticizing anyone, but I think, there was a time that we didn't realize what the growth was going to be. So I think it's kind of a bird in hand thing. In conclusion, I'd just like to thank all of you for your continued service to the people of Polk City.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to item 7 then, consent items, and I'll ask for a motion and a second.
Oh, just those two had them? Okay, so they were the same.
So item 7, a motion and a second, please, consent items,
Motion.
Second?
and roll call.
I'd actually like to pull R.
I'd like to pull R. So then we would need a motion. So we have a motion and a second already.
You just amend
Can we
his
just
motion. Yep.
Amend, so you want to amend your motion, or amend, he would need to amend his motion?
Yes, yep.
Nick, you would need to amend your motion if you wanted to pull R. You're not.
We can discuss it. This way I don't like the order of how we do this, but my point isn't to not approve R, but I do know we have an issue that is being addressed, but I want to be super clear, especially since we have some neighbors, on what we're approving and what we're not approving tonight. So as I understand R, it's a temporary occupancy permit to allow the bank to open whenever they cross through some other hurdles relative to the building. But we're also requiring a good amount of money for them to fix some trees that were cut down outside of the site plan that was originally put forth. And so, again, fully confident that it's going to be resolved. My point in pulling it, or if we leave it, the motion as is. So I just have maybe Chelsea or whomever talk about what this is, and then if anybody from home state or the neighbors want to talk about where we are, allow people to.
Okay, so we would still have to approve and amending his motion.
Well, if we could talk about all this so with all the other consent items, I'm fine. If we want to pull it and talk about it then, we can do that too.
I think the best way is to pull it from the consent agenda so that we can move on from the consent agenda. So I would ask Nick
So I would move to
amend your motion.
amend my motion to pull R to business items.
Yes.
All right, I will amend my motion to pull R to business items.
And I will second.
Second.
Continue my second of that amended version.
Okay, and then we'll have a roll call vote on consent items minus R, which will be moved to business items.
Vogel,
Yes.
Otis,
Yes.
Sarchet,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Walters.
Yes.
Okay, so moving on to business items then, we will we'll make are C, and we'll begin with A, which is a request for proposals, RFP, and authorizing the taking of bids for property located at 510 South Third Street. Chelsea, do you have a presentation?
In front of the council this evening is a drafted request for proposal for development for 510 South Third Street. The council has indicated that they would like to accept proposals from interested developers for the development of that property. The RFP just has very basic information in it, and I'm happy to make any changes necessary tonight, but I did not put a minimum bid in the RFP. I have left that open-ended. The deadline for the RFP is February 19th at 10 a.m. And then once we receive proposals for development for the property, we would have a review committee established by the mayor to review proposals and rank proposals. Again, this is going to be a multi-step process of the council, like we've talked about. You will have multiple opportunities for a public hearing if you do decide that you want to sell the property as we're required to do.
Okay, thank you then. So I need a motion and a second to approve item A, request for proposals and authorizing the taking of bids for property located at 510 South Third Street.
I would like to move to push the due date for proposals from February 19th to March 18th and give developers an additional 4 weeks. I would like to see a longer timeline for proposals to be submitted so that we get increase our chances of getting high quality proposals.
So we have a motion to accept A, but to change the date for the offers to come in to March 18th.
18th would be 4 weeks, 4 additional weeks.
March 18th. So, do I have a second?
Second.
And roll call.
Vogel,
Yes.
Otis.
Yes.
Sarchet,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Walters.
Yes.
Item B, Snyder and Associates, November 2023 engineering services invoice in the amount of $42,950. Have a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Roll call?
Savage,
Yes.
Walters,
Abstain.
Vogel,
Yes.
Otis,
Yes.
Sarchet.
Yes.
So then we'll move on to item C, which is really item R, Resolution 2024-05, approving an agreement to complete with Home State Bank. So we would need a motion and a second to approve and then discussion. Motion and a second, and then we'll have discussion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion from council?
So, like I said, I would like city staff and if Home State wants to, as well as any of the residents that are here, now that this is an agenda item and an interested party, that I feel they should be able to talk. But what I understand this to be is, like I said earlier, temporary occupancy so they can get in when they want to. And I'm excited to have them in. And none of this is meant to hold anything up, but it also doesn't compromise our ability, hopefully, to do something unnecessary, which is enforce what Home State, I think, is already working on doing and fixing some trees that were cut down that shouldn't. And so I just want to make it very clear that by doing this, none of that is being compromised. We're actually holding more money than we would have otherwise. But for you folks that are here for that, if we can help facilitate a conversation directly between the people that live there and the bank, great. Maybe it's not necessary just to see what they're doing, but we're not pushing past a requirement to fix what everybody is acknowledging was a mistake, and some work that needs to be done on how best to fix that is really the only discretionary part of this. And this just allows them to open sooner rather than later. So is anything that I said inaccurate?
So let's go to Travis and hear more about this.
Yeah, so for council's consideration tonight is an agreement to complete for the remaining site plan improvements for the proposed Home State Bank corner of Third and Bridge. The purpose of this agreement, as Rob alluded to, is to allow issuance of a temporary certificate of occupancy while still allowing the city security and leverage in order to complete the site plan improvements that are not currently feasible. They have a great deal of seating, a lot of landscaping that was on the original site plan, as well as some other weather-sensitive items that they simply cannot complete in January. And so that is what this agreement to complete is for, is to essentially provide the city leverage and a means to get the site plan completed in a timely fashion. As Rob alluded to, prior to Christmas, city staff became aware of some trees being inappropriately removed as defined by Chapter 115 of Polk City's Municipal Code in accordance with the approved site plan. Since that time, city staff has had several meetings with the developer on site to review the trees, discuss a plan moving forward, as well as we've met with a licensed arborist to determine healthy trees versus non-healthy trees and hazardous trees as alluded to in Polk City Code. Home State Bank has submitted a site plan amendment with a plan to address the removals that we intend to take to the Planning and Zoning Commission next week, and then would be on the second council meeting of January. That amended site plan, if approved, would then be what the permanent certificate of occupancy and the completion of this agreement to complete is judged against. Something worth noting for the council is the due date for the completion of the agreement to complete is May 15th of 2024. So that is as in our minds, it is a prompt completion of the outstanding site plan, giving Home State Bank a little bit of leeway should the spring weather not cooperate completely.
So your summary is that you're comfortable, confident that everything that needs to be done is being done.
Correct. We are on the right path, and right now we would recommend approval of this agreement to complete. The illegal tree removal has maybe put a roadblock in our standard protocol, but the agreement to complete is a very standard thing that Polk City has done with several commercial sites around town to get temporary certificates of occupancy when site plan improvements can't be completed due to weather, supply chain issues, or something similar.
Anything else from the council?
Oh, I appreciate that additional information because I know, especially to the neighbors there, this has been a big deal. So hopefully, again, can't go back in time, but hopefully find the appropriate and best remediation.
Can I say anything? I mean,
No.
no? All right.
And really, I say that to you politely. That's just not our protocol. But I would welcome you to talk to your council member or to talk to me at another time, and go from there. But in the city council meeting, we don't have back and forth with the audience. Do we need anything else?
You can talk though, right?
Well, he doesn't necessarily need to if the council is satisfied with what our city engineer has said.
No, okay, so
Well, hold on. Do you have stuff you want to talk about, or are you good if we're good?
I'm good if you're good. I was just going to address the council based on what's happening.
Well, does the council want to entertain that? I know one council member does. What about everyone else?
I feel if there's additional things that you have to say about the situation.
You'll have to come forward and state your name and your address and who you represent and all the particulars.
Yeah, Eric Hockenberry, Home State Bank. I don't live in town. I live just outside of town, but I get to open here shortly at the new building on the corner. So for the council members I haven't met, for the existing council members, this is just me wanting to address the situation. there's certainly nothing that we had any ill will or intent to do down there. There's clearly an overstep to the company that was hired, and that was unfortunate to the residents. I'm sorry that happened. I'm sorry for a heartache it caused. It was not any intent for that to have happened. Our new site plan, we have a very unique lot on a commercial lot. We have over about an acre and a half of kind of green space area that we've been planning all along, even though it wasn't on the original site plan, to do some sort of community green space once the trail is in. This is even elevating that further. We're putting in a lot of plants, a lot of trees. Doesn't fix the ones that were taken down from that perspective, but we really want to make the space a great space for the community, and that space, the acre and a half on that north side of the property, is something that we are planning to have as a space. So there was no disrespect to the council or planning and zoning for that happened. We consider all of you, potential customers to the bank and things that we want to come in to be good stewards of the city. So appreciate the consideration of the temporary occupancy, and we'll make the site beautiful.
Thank you, Eric. Anything else from the council?
Yeah, so as Steve alluded to, not everybody, me in particular, agrees with our policy on comments. So I apologize that a member, a citizen of our town in a public meeting can't talk, but until there's a greater appetite to change it, is what it is, and I'll keep bringing it up every meeting because I think it's egregious how we handle this. Anyway, aside from that, I want to be, again, super clear, very excited to have Home State Bank here, and nothing changes this as long as we can. If I hired somebody and they went too far, that happens on the site, but I want to make sure that you guys know that we're playing a role here to try and get this resolved. And so, is it, one question that I have, so people are aware of this, is the next P and Z meeting, they'll have an agenda item on, will that address the tree issue at that meeting? So they know which of these meetings to come to and which that aren't beneficial.
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
the intent is to have a site plan amendment addressing the removal of the trees and the replacement thereof on the P and Z meeting next week.
Okay. And the public is allowed to comment in P and Z meetings.
They do have a public comment period, yes. Yep.
Okay.
I imagine they have the same notification
They have the same
protocol.
protocol, so for people that come to meetings, we have the thing at the beginning, even though this is an agenda item, I think maybe that's something too that people aren't clear on is, regardless of whatever you want to speak about, we do want to hear from you, so make sure that if you have something that you want to say and you can submit ahead of time, do so, because we do want to hear your voice. And yeah. So,
and the only reason I bring that up is just, so again, you guys know when the solution's coming, and not knowing what that is probably, if I'm putting myself in your spot, that's what you want to know, right? How are they going to fix what was wrong? So if that's addressed then, there's an opportunity there. And then there's also, P&Z is a recommending body back to us, another opportunity. So, again, I wish
Okay,
there
thanks.
was
Is there anything else from the council? Let's go ahead and ask for roll call vote then.
Vogel,
Yes.
Otis,
Yes.
Sarchet,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Walters.
Yes.
Moving on to item number 9 then, reports and particulars. Let's begin with staff. Anything?
Got one there?
Yes, sir.
So we didn't touch on it in the work session, but I did want to provide an update on some of the ongoing non-trail related capital improvement projects. With tonight's consent agenda, you guys released the retainage on the North 3rd Street and Vista Lake Avenue intersection improvements project. At this time, we are done with that project outside of a singular planting in the center of the roundabout that Absolute has agreed to come back and replace if it does not come back next spring. So that project is done and closed out. 2023 street repairs project, we will be finishing up sodding on that in the spring. They didn't get that done this year. So we'll get that taken care of, and then I would expect before summer to be done with that one. And then Brothers Concrete intends to complete the 2024 street repairs project this spring, about the same time they'd be finishing sodding. So just wanted to provide those updates for council.
Anybody else from staff? Chelsea, anything?
I just have something really short. A number of months ago, we were approached by 2 Iowa State University students who wanted to study our town square. They wanted to study the town square, collect some survey from users of the town square, and then compare Polk City's town square to another close by town square / Main Street area. So they chose Nevada. The 2 students were Herod DeBa and Tyler Whitaker, and they wrapped up their study at the end of December and have provided us with very nice infographic. Over to the left, they asked that we put this up at City Hall for people to review and ask questions about, and we'd be happy to share this on the city's website, social media as well. But they put a lot of time and effort into this study, and I wanted to make sure that we gave a shout out to them. So we always like getting Iowa State students. It seems like they really like coming to Polk City and helping us with some of these projects. So thank you to both of them. Nope, that's it.
Council, anything?
Oh, a couple things. So to leverage off the public comments things, I appreciate you speaking up about the 3rd and Davis property. It's something that we very carefully considered. We want what ends up there to be in the best interest of all. Holding it costs us money. Doing, green space costs us money. There's a lot of things to consider. We all understand. We all hear the comments. It provides an opportunity to potentially move some things forward, that we may need in our community to get some of the other things people would like. But I really appreciate the comments and for coming up here. And again, everybody in the future, we do like to hear from you. So use that public comment time and we'd like to hear your voice. Another thing I know, there were some updates to some of the fire department procedures, and I think especially in light of some things that have gone on recently, it's really important to continue to recognize you guys as staff members, both for police and fire. So we've got some great people that most of us are fortunate to be able to take for granted. So continued good work out of you guys, your team, continue supporting them, and I very much appreciate what they do on an everyday basis.
Real quick, Mr. Mayor. So I wanted to officially recognize and thank Mr. Ron Anderson and David Dvorak for their many years of community support and service that they did, public service. I know personally I have some big shoes to fill. I look forward to it, but I'm glad to see Ron here in the audience. Probably get used to seeing him down there, but it's going to be difficult. But again, I wanted to thank both of those gentlemen for all their support for our community. I also wanted to say to all the residents that are out there and people that are watching that we do represent, City Council do represent all of our citizens. So I do encourage you to reach out to us, talk to us. I want to listen. I want to know what you're thinking. Contact me. Try to get my phone number. My email is on the city website, but I really want to hear what's going on and what your concerns and issues are. Staff, I look forward to working with you throughout this year, same with my fellow council members and even Mr. Mayor. So.
Anything else?
I guess I got a couple things. First of all, I have to take some credit for avoiding a Jeff scenario. I had Jenny switch when there were 2 Robs up here to last name, so you're all welcome. But in kind of a similar tone to what Jeff, going through an election, and I should acknowledge Ron, this is, first meeting since the turn of the century or 1800s that we haven't had you up here, so big switch.
Really, I really hate all that attention.
I know you do. I know. But taking some of these transitions as a little bit of learning opportunity, and one of the things that I'd like to focus on at a little bit, maybe higher clip, is volunteerism. So I think that's important that we as a city engage with the groups that are volunteering and better empower those folks. So that to me is the core of, if you could point to one thing that a small town is, it's a place where volunteers do what people are paid elsewhere in larger communities to do. So I've got an opportunity with the Parks Commission as being the liaison, helping build out the Arts and Culture Committee to be a foothold for that, and hopefully that expands to some of the other groups that maybe are empowering and engaging, listening to volunteers, like I think. So anyway, that's kind of my perspective on some of that stuff. And
So just welcome to Jeff and to Nick. I think you got a very good taste of government and democracy in action tonight. And I think one of the things that I've always taken pride in is that I've always felt that our city council members, we come as friends and we leave as friends. We don't always agree on everything, and that's not a bad thing. I will key off of something that Rob said, and that is we are forming an arts and culture committee in Polk City, and that's something that I've been reaching out to people to be members of. We have a good number of members who have stepped forward to say that they would be on the Arts and Culture Committee, and we're having a presentation here in a week or so from a representative from Iowa State who's going to show us the best way to go about setting up an Arts and Culture Committee so that we can take a look at things such as the murals that we've done, or sculptures that we would like to do, or things that lend themselves to the direction we'd like to see our city go. So I appreciate Rob mentioning that so that I could mention it also. If you have a burning desire to be a member of that Arts and Culture Committee, we'd be very happy to entertain your participation. Just let me know, and my email is on the website as well. So with that, if no one else, I think we will ask for a motion to adjourn. And a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. We are adjourned until the 22nd. Thank you, everybody.
Hi, Amy.
Sounds good. Be safe.
One of the books.
Sorry, you're good.